Hello, it's June 2022, and in my previous video, I talked about individuals in various positions of authority and trust and breaches of that trust with people or in positions of authority. And I highlighted few examples throughout my personal life. And positions of authority can range from, for example, family dynamics with children and parents having the authority over them, to schools, to medical professions. Then we also have governing bodies and law enforcement and everything else. So these are all different types of positions of authority. And some of the positions of authority, for example, like medical, a person would go to for help, just like I did a week ago. Again, they did a fantastic job. And then you have positions of authority, say from a parent, where you have really no choice as a child. But we have positions of authority where it's imposed on society, for example. People really have, well, I mean, it could be argued, but that's not the point of this video, have no choice to have this authority imposed. And what I really want to highlight here is that no one should be seeking to have authority over another. And the people that do, that they feel compelled or inspired, or they feel that that's their life mission, you really have to question, because there's a lot of responsibility to having authority over someone. And what we see, especially as I've talked about in this late stage, of the last stage of civilization, the age of decadence, etc., we see the rise of the busybody, and we see people with a certain characteristic wanting to obtain various positions of authority where they can impose, for example, their theories, beliefs, opinions, wants even, and it's causing a lot of destruction in society. So people shouldn't be wanting to seek that responsibility, and that's a huge responsibility. And I gave some examples of how throughout my life, just highlighted some brief examples where throughout my life, various types of authority types had breached the trust. And I will say again that this surgery that I had kind of rekindled that, because everything was awesome. And we really have to watch when someone, for example, wants to be a perceived leader, whether it be of a small community to even a nation, the world, dare I say. And you have to really watch their motive, what they want, and the type of character they are. There are people in this world who have things imposed on them, for example, like injustice, who never seek out to be anything. They just, for example, want to have a quiet, peaceful life. But injustice, based on these types of characters who seek positions of authority, impose injustice, they're forced to do something, to react. You can either, well, the old saying, flight or fight, right? And in today's world, most people tend to just take the flight attitude and try to avoid any kind of conflict. Even if it's someone's dog peeing on their lawn, they automatically escalate this. And that's actually wasting a lot of time and resources. Say, for example, from law enforcement, you call them about something so stupid, and not only are you escalating it unnecessarily, but it's a waste of time and resources. These people have better things to do, or they should have better things to do. And this segues into, for example, people wanting to be someone they are not. We also hear that saying, be true to yourself. Now, I just want to make something very clear. I'm not stating or implying that people should do whatever they want willy-nilly and not have any care for other people or society overall. Nor am I stating or implying that people should react or do something simply on a whim that most times we see in society today, people regret later on. And that could even be following a fad, for example. But it is important to remain who you are at your core. Now, who are you at your core? You are that young child, that little kid. That's who you are at your core. And when you're laying at bed at night, you could even have someone beside you, like a spouse. But when you're laying at bed at night and you're staring up at that ceiling just moments before you fall asleep, that is the real you. And whatever you're thinking, or whatever is on your mind at that moment and how you're reacting to it in your mind, that is who you are. And it's important to not lose who you are, especially when, for example, injustice is imposed, to maintain your personal integrity and not give in to the whims of others who are imposing. For example, those people who are in positions of authority, who have their own agendas because they think that their opinion should have more value. And there's a lot of people who obtain various positions of authority, as in the examples that I've given, and they do so with good intentions. Now, sometimes good intentions pave the way to hell, but some of these people actually do good. So I just want to make that very clear. I'm not coming down on people in positions of authority. And we do need some structure in society because we are social animals. And if we start moving the lines, as we have been actually, then everything just falls apart. There's no cohesion, no unity. And I've talked about how in today's society we have omitted things like the rite of passage, which is very important. Without it, people wander aimlessly, and then they start latching on to nonsense stuff, propaganda, for example, and try to find some sort of identity with that link, perhaps even trying to be someone that they're not. One of the biggest things that I learned over this past, say, decade, which at times I look at it as an unnecessary waste of my life, even now, with the injustice that has been imposed, regardless of how it started. I try to extract something good from it. And one of the things that I guess you can call it a life lesson is humility. Not having fine clothes, fine food, and fine everything, and living as I have been. I've shared a video, I think it was about a year and a half ago, where people were refusing to give me water. If you can believe that. And that's very humiliating. But what I'm taking from this experience, as hard as it is humility. Now, when I was younger, and we all can say to some degree that, say for example, around our 20s, we were arrogant. We knew everything. And I was arrogant. And I've highlighted how many people confuse arrogance with confidence. There's a difference. And the type of people who get triggered by confidence and point the finger and say they're arrogant, well, that's on them. But being confident is being true to yourself, knowing who you are, knowing what you know, as well as being able to, when new information, new facts, real facts come in, to be able to use critical thinking skills, an extensive knowledge base, and being able to separate emotions when making new conclusions, for example, if need be. And that's being true to yourself. Because information is not only about the world around you, but it's also about who you are, and coming to grips and facing, say, some realities that you don't want to face. But for me, this time of injustice, one of the lessons that I've realized that I learned is humility. And it's a hard pill to swallow, but there's a a saying that I've said for a long time, you know, well, for one thing, nothing lasts forever, good or bad. And we can't do anything about the past because it's no longer. We can't do anything about the future because it hasn't happened. We do have some control over the present. A lot of people will say things like, well, you know, what's the law of attraction nonsense and everything else, and you can create your own reality. Well, that's fine if there were no other influences imposing. For example, the wrong people in various positions of authority, okay? But you also have to remain true to yourself. We learn throughout our lives from the hard times. We cherish the good times and we go back and revisit them when we need, for example, to make us happy. Anyway, just wanted to give you some things to think about. Thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, comment, and share.
Listen to this and write it down if you can't remember it. You're never going to outgrow warfare. You simply must learn to fight. I hear people saying to me, oh, when is it going to get easier? When you die.